Woj with us here, and Woj reporting that the Thunder and Melo ending their brief partnership. So what more can you tell us about this?
Yeah, Oklahoma City will work with Carmelo Anthony and his agent over the course of this summer to try to figure out how they will exit this one-year relationship. The Thunder are trying now to work on trade scenarios. It's going to be difficult, a $28 million salary, but there are teams who would like to create more cap space for next summer. Melo has an expiring contract. They can use it in that way. Probably the most likely scenario is the NBA's stretch provision, which would allow them to get him off the cap this year, spread the money over 3 years on their cap, but that would save the Thunder in salary and luxury tax $107 million. Right now their payroll is over $300 million, and that's as much of this as the impetus of it is that kind of savings. And the role for Carmelo Anthony has changed from what he had signed up for there. He would have been de-emphasized this year. They want to play faster. It makes sense for both sides.
Is there a sense, Woj, of the market for Carmelo's services once this separation comes to pass?
Yeah, the market will be significant because now it's Carmelo on probably a veteran minimum deal. And whether it's in a starting lineup, whether it's coming off the bench on a great team, there's going to be a lot of suitors among contenders for Carmelo Anthony. And that number in Oklahoma City was not sustainable. I mean, to think, how many players in the league really would you be willing to spend $107 million on? So it makes sense for both sides, and his market will be significant. Now, this could play out over the course of the summer. They're going to work on trade scenarios first in Oklahoma City. They can get to that. They can do that stretch provision at any time later in the summer. So they'll try to work through it here. And I also think they'll work with Carmelo. They, for his really in a gesture probably, I think, of goodwill. They may not want this to stretch out so far to inhibit his opportunity to go jump on somewhere else. Yeah.
All right, makes sense. Thanks so much, Woj.
Thanks, guys.
James exiting the court.
He goes into free agency now without having any real direct contact himself with the Cleveland organization.
LeBron James reached out to Kevin Durant.
It's chess. The Celtics, Kawhi, the Lakers, Magic, can they do it all at once?
And it's all dictated by LeBron James.
He landed in L.A.? What does that mean? That being said, it's not the plane that is pointing us to think he's signing with the Lakers. It's everything else.
A high-level Philadelphia 76ers contingent is meeting with LeBron James agent Rich Paul today in Los Angeles. LeBron James not expected to attend the meeting.
LeBron James, 4 years, $154 million to join the Los Angeles Lakers, a seismic shift in the NBA.
I think it was the right situation, the right call for him to make. He wasn't going to get anything accomplished in Cleveland. That was obvious.
Before I just say, oh, LeBron doesn't have enough to win there yet, let's see what the Lakers finish with.
All right, so the Lakers open at 20-1 favorites to win the 2019 NBA Finals. Just to say 20-1, not the favorites. That according to Westgate Las Vegas Superbook. The day after Los Angeles added LeBron James, their odds improved significantly. Now, after adding more pieces to the lineup, now 5-1 to win another Larry O'Brien trophy. Vegas likes the Lakers. Fans like the Lakers. Do Jeff Van Gundy and Tim Legler like the Lakers?
And it's going to be a major adjustment to play with a guy that basically is a forward that handles the ball almost the entire game. It's going to be an adjustment for some guys that need it to get into a rhythm. And so for those guys, there's probably excitement, but probably also a little bit of uncertainty, maybe even a little bit of anxiety about exactly how it's going to affect their game. Because some of those young players were getting more and more responsibility in L.A., and they were growing. And now it's going to be different.
The West is so good. I don't think it's a given they make the playoffs. So the roster construction, it's been a little peculiar to me. Usually you're trying to surround James with as much shooting and stability as you can, and it looks like they've actually gone just the opposite of that. Very little shooting and some, unique personalities to incorporate alongside James.
More basketball with our NBA insider, Ramona Shelburne. And Ramona, a lot of people have been questioning the moves the Lakers have made since getting LeBron. But you say LeBron is all in on these moves. What does that mean?
Well, look, you saw LeBron sign with the Lakers, and then the next three off the board were Lance Stevenson, Rajon Rondo, JaVale McGee, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. I mean, That doesn't sound like the type of players that LeBron generally likes to play with or succeeded. Usually he needs shooters around him to space the floor. But Brian Windhorst and I have a story up on ESPN.com today explaining how Magic Johnson and LeBron James had a real heart-to-heart about the type of players he wants to play with and the type of his vision for his role with the Lakers going forward. He understands he's going to be 34 in December. He's going to have to change his game. He can't necessarily be 1-on-5 again. And he will do what Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant did as they got into their mid-30s, which is play more in the post, be the guy finishing those drives, not necessarily creating all the time. So LeBron wanted playmakers. He wanted guys who were tough defensively, who could switch, because when you get a bunch of players who are great shooters or who are specialists, sometimes they become defensive liabilities against a great team like Golden State, against a great team like Houston that has great shooters. And he saw that and said, well, let's zig where other people have zagged. They went out and got playmakers. Very combustible, emotional playmakers like Lance Stevenson, Rajon Rondo. But it's going to be fascinating to see how this all works, especially with those guys on one-year deals. But this is what LeBron and Magic Johnson talked about. This is what he wanted.
Yeah, Showtime's going to take on a completely different meeting on and off the court with some of these guys that followed LeBron after they got him with the Lakers. Now, I want you to listen to the sound from our Tim Legler, who has concerns about LeBron, Lonzo playing together.
I don't really honestly know how Lonzo Ball plays with LeBron James. I don't. LeBron's going to have the ball. So people can say, and I've heard some people say it already, well, they can kind of share it. It's going to be Lonzo throwing the ball ahead to LeBron on the break. And no, LeBron James is going to end up with the basketball. That's what he's done his entire career. For Lonzo Ball, that's going to be difficult playing off the ball. That's a problem, and I wouldn't be surprised if now the Lakers sort of look at the long-term future with Lonzo Ball a lot differently.
Okay, Lonzo's the easiest player to point out and say, where does he fit in? I'll ask you, where does he fit in, Lonzo Ball, in their long-term plans?
Well, the Lakers discussed that with LeBron James, and he likes Lonzo Ball. He flat out said, I like his game, and I'm excited to play with him, and he is a playmaker. And you look at, Legs is right on the money. I think LeBron is going to end up with the ball no matter what he says about, I want to be in the post, or I want to be the guy finishing drives. He's going to be the guy with the ball in his hands. And so Lonzo Ball is a great facilitator and playmaker, but as we know, he can't shoot. He shot 30% from behind the three-point arc this year, and it's something he's going to have to work on to develop his game. What the Lakers are hoping is that if he plays with pace, if they play with pace, they played with the third fastest pace in the league last year, that some of that is mitigated. Some of the shooting woes are mitigated. But what Legs points out, most of the time LeBron ends up in the half court. He has the ball in his hands, and he needs shooters around him. That's not Lonzo Ball.
I would leave and get a vacation while you can, because with this Lakers team, storylines, trades, you're going to be busy from training camp on. Ramona Shelburne with us on Sports Center. Ramona, thank you. Bagley's struggling early, shot clock winding down. Bagley kicks it out, gets it back. Can't get the shot off in time. That's a shot clock violation. Later in the first, Bagley tries to drive into traffic, but he's called for a travel. Now, give him a couple years in the league, and he's a veteran, then he'll get away with that. But he's not in the summer league. 0 points in the first half for Bagley. Second quarter, heat up one. Derrick Jones Jr. Oh, sir. You'll see that on Top Plays tonight. If you weren't before, we'll just tell him to put it in now. Jones Jr. showing off the athleticism right now. Heat up 57-48 on the Kings.
More Summer League. Lakers, Warriors, Mo Wagner. Lakers first-round draft pick. Alex Caruso with a nice behind-the-back dish for Wagner for three. A little later, off a Warriors miss, running the floor. The big man, throw it down, big fella. Then late first half, fadeaway jumper from the baseline. This kid's got everything.
Don't you sleep on Wagner.
Yeah, 13 points, 13 boards, 4 blocks. Second half, Warriors up 9. Wagner double-teamed and stripped in transition. Watch Ryan Brown, the alley-oop for J.P. Takoto. That's nice. That's very nice. One more time in slow motion, please. Warriors take this one 77-71. Again, Wagner 13-13-4. Here are the top 5 free agents left, according to ESPN.com. The key factor here is they're all restricted free agents. The Rockets lost Trevor Ariza to the Suns, but they look to keep Clint Capella, who posted career highs in points and rebounds per game last season. The Celtics, they were 1 win away from reaching the finals, thanks in part to Marcus Smart. Smart played only 54 games last season for Boston after suffering a thumb injury. Former number 2 overall pick Jabari Parker of the Bucks has torn his ACL in his left knee twice over his first 3 seasons, the most recent of which prevented him from reaching starter criteria last season. Zach LaVine didn't see the court often in his first season with the Bulls, playing only 24 games after recovering from a torn ACL himself. He was injured in 2017. And in his first full season with the Blazers, Yusuf Nurkic posted 27 double-doubles. He only had 21 double-doubles in his first 3 seasons in the league combined.
Our NBA insider, Ramona Shelburne, joining us now. Ramona, we've got Clint Capella on ESPN.com listed as the top available free agent left. What do you see happening with Clint Capella?
Well, I think as things stand right now, he looks like a guy who has to decide if he's going to sign that qualifying offer and then enter unrestricted free agency next year. That's a big risk for the Houston Rockets to take because he has become part of their big 3. But from what I understand, his initial meeting with the Rockets didn't go as he was expecting it to. There's not a big long-term offer out here that he feels comfortable signing right now. And he's been talking to other teams. The problem is nobody really has the cap space to make a compelling offer to make Houston nervous that he could potentially leave or even to match that offer sheet. And so he's got a tough decision to make. Do you take a chance, sign the qualifying offer, and then enter unrestricted free agency next year? I think he's leaning towards that, but there's still a long ways to go in this offseason.
Yeah, a lot of times teams are gambling on players, and in reality, sometimes players have to gamble on themselves. One of the players we're talking about that's not on the top 5 list of players, Isaiah Thomas. Ooh. What a difference a year makes. Coming off hip surgery and traded to the Lakers after not fitting in with LeBron and the Cavs in Cleveland. What's the latest, Ramona, on where IT will land?
Well, he just lost one of his biggest leverage chips here, one of his best options when the Lakers went and got LeBron James. They obviously have filled out their roster. They don't have much cap space left. And I know they had an interest in bringing Isaiah Thomas back on a 1-year deal, sort of a short-term deal, because they liked what he gave them last year. He came in, was a great veteran presence. But now with LeBron James in town, they've already filled out their backcourt. They don't have nearly enough salary cap space to give him the kind of contract he's looking for. So he's going to have to wait, and he may end up signing a veteran minimum deal or a mid-level exception. It's unbelievable to me where he's gone from 1 year to the next, but wherever he hooks on, I wouldn't count that guy out. I just saw him a couple of weeks ago at the draft. The draft ended. It was about 11 o'clock at night. We were all at home. Guess who was in the Laker gym shooting buckets? The last pick in the draft from when his draft year was Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that when he gets that opportunity, he's going to play with a chip on his shoulder to prove that so many teams messed up on that. Ramona's going to be back in just a bit to tell us why LeBron James is all in on some of these Lakers signings. League sources told ESPN that the 2-time All-NBA forward wants out of San Antonio with a preference to be traded to the Lakers. Leonard had grown frustrated with how the organization handled his quad injury and feels the franchise turned on him once he sought a second opinion. 4 days later, Leonard met with Greg Popovich out in San Diego with hopes to discuss the issues that have caused their rocky relationship. Leonard had told confidants that he did not want to sit down with Pop, and he had been purposely difficult for the Spurs to reach. All this time, Kawhi had made it known that he prefers to go to the Lakers, and, well, the Spurs weren't having any of that. On June 21st, San Antonio shut the door on Los Angeles during a call regarding a trade for Leonard. However, negotiations did reopen and continue. Then July 1st, while LeBron James agreed to a 4-year, $154 million deal with L.A., Leonard's focus remained unchanged. That, according to our agent, Wojnarowski, he wants to wear the purple and gold and join the Lakers. Leonard could be a free agent after next season.
Stephen A. Smith joining us now right off the First Take special. Stephen A., with each passing day, what's the likelihood Kawhi Leonard will still be a Spur when the season begins?
Well, I still think it's 50-50. First of all, the San Antonio Spurs are not inclined to do business with the Los Angeles Lakers. We know the only reason this is a consideration is because Kawhi Leonard looked Greg Popovich in the face, told him he wants to be out, he wants to leave San Antonio, and obviously the word is leaked to everybody. Everybody and their grandmother knows he wants out of San Antonio so he can go to the Los Angeles Lakers. More importantly, the other teams in the league know he wants to be there, and as a result, he would just be a 1-year rental. And considering how valuable of an asset he is, to have to give up so much just to get a one-year rental is not something most teams are inclined to do. As a result, forcing San Antonio to do business with the Lakers or pretty much no one else. It's also putting Magic Johnson in the sweet position of diminishing the level of urgency there is to acquiring Kawhi Leonard, because if he doesn't acquire Kawhi Leonard now, he's of the belief that Kawhi Leonard ultimately will come there next summer. Now what I'm hearing also is the name Damian Lillard, because even though Damian Lillard wants to stay in Portland, and that is his preference, he is also aware of the fact that the Portland Trailblazers is going to have difficulty acquiring marquee free agents. As a result of that, word is leaking out that he would be willing to depart from Portland, even though that's still his preference to stay. He would be willing to depart from Portland to head for the Lakers or the New York Knicks in one of those larger markets. If that were to happen, because that's a reality, rather, you have a situation where Magic Johnson could either continue trying to do business with the San Antonio Spurs to acquire Kawhi Leonard or say, bump it. You know what? I'll wait until next summer when Kawhi is an unrestricted free agent, free to come with us. And now I'll turn my attention to Damian Lillard, who has 3 years left on his deal. And maybe the same assets we were going to offer San Antonio, we can now offer to the Portland Trailblazers in return for the services of a Damian Lillard. And those players would include Alonzo Ball. It would include Brandon Ingram. It would include Josh Hart, maybe even a pick for Damian Lillard. So stay tuned. There's a lot going on right now. We'll see how things unfold.
All right, you mentioned Dame. It was my next question. A fan asked him on Twitter if he'd be happy to join the Lakers and LeBron, and he tweeted back, I'm typically a happy camper. What are the chances Dame pushes to get out of Portland and go to L.A.?
Well, again, it's a difficult situation to surmise because on one hand, Damian Lillard is incredibly happy. Not only is he making in excess of $27 million over the next 3 years, keep in mind that when you take into endorsement that he is the face of that franchise and the face, essentially, of basketball in the Pacific Northwest. So you're talking about him getting anywhere from $40 to $47 million annually coming in. He ain't broke. He doesn't need the money. He's getting paid handsomely, and he's the star out there. So he doesn't mind being out there at all. The problem is Portland has been to the playoffs the last 5 straight years, but they've been bounced out in the first round 3 of those 5 years, including the last 2 years. And when he gets on the phone with the Jimmy Butlers of the world and others, they've made it very, very clear, we love Damian Lillard. You're our brother. We got nothing but love and respect for you. We'd love to play for you, but it ain't too many of us that's willing to come out to the Pacific Northwest and play in Portland. That's the only reason why Damian Lillard would want to move on from there. So since he's willing to move on from there, if indeed they can't get other parts, Portland's under the gun to either deliver him some assets so they can improve and not get swept by the likes of Anthony Davis and the New Orleans Pelicans, or they could move him, make C.J. McCollum the face of the franchise because they could get some instrumental parts for the services of Damian Lillard. It's in Portland's hands because they have him locked in for the next 3 years. They do not want to lose him. They love him, but they recognize the fact that if they can't improve the team, it might be best for them to make a move. Whatever that move is remains to be seen.
Stephen A. Smith, thank you, brother.
All right.